On May 4th, Romania is going to have its presidential elections again. If you remember last year, a character named Georgescu managed to blot out the sun with how popular he got on TikTok and other social media platforms when he was doing a presidential campaign while running for the president of Romania. He got to the second round of the presidential elections and also somehow declared that he had spent zero money on his entire campaign. Obviously, this was false, and it was found out that not only was he doing tons of campaign fraud, he was also committing a bit of treason as well. And this court case is going to be hashed out for the next year, probably. So Romania is having to have the elections a second time, and a whole lot has happened. The person who made it to the second round the first time, in addition to Georgescu, Eleni Lesconi, she is out of the race now, as her own party took her nomination away and is now endorsing a brand new candidate, the mayor of Bucharest. And give me a follow and do some engagement so people see this and my bills can get paid. Thank you. Nicu Dan is the mayor of Bucharest, a mathematician, and also a longtime political activist. He falls in kind of the center-right, center-liberally spectrum of politics. He also has a little bit of baggage and not so great history with the LGBT community, and when he was a youth, he wrote some real cringe homophobic poetry, which is as awful as you can imagine. But with Lasconi gone, you just have several corrupt parties, and then the far-right weirdos like George Simeon from Our, which is well, it's a Romanian fascist party, guys. Or you end up with people like Victor Ponta, who is just another creature of that corrupt system in Romania. So I morally agree with people like Christina Pruna when she is frustrated that effectively Lasconi was screwed over by her own political party, but at the same time, I also realize Lasconi and Dan were both pulling from the exact same voter pool. And if his 16, 15, 14% and her 8% are not combined together, they're not going to be able to make it to the second round, and they're not going to be able to win the second round, either of them. So it's better to combine forces, and fundamentally, he was twice as popular as her. We can also see how seriously the establishment takes him as a threat, in that political elites are trying to drum up homophobia to attack Dan by presenting him that he'll, do something ridiculous like force people to wear skirts. But this is them showing their hand, that their reality is that there's anyone at all who's talking about doing things like stopping corruption, they'll be torn apart and thrown with everything, regardless of how they personally feel about those issues in the first place. Like the Accept Association says, this only displays their fragile masculinity and their incredible misogyny at the same time. As we can see in the polling, the far right under George Simeon and Our have been able to absorb a lot of that Georgescu vote that was existing there, which makes them in first place in current polling. This is dangerous if they get to the second round, because it'll mean we'll have a rerun of what was going to be the Georgescu-Lasconi run, but instead of having it with Georgescu and Lasconi, we're going to instead have it whoever wins the other slot in that second round. And that means it's either going to be Antonescu or it's going to be Dan. And if we can see right here, Dan's 19 and Lasconi's 8 brings them together to 27, which would put them into first place and secure that second round. And if they are able to gather up all of the Democratic forces, they will handily beat the far right. But it requires a lot of people to let go of their egos and work together to do two things: stopping the far right and also disrupting the strength of those establishment parties that have used Romania as their little piggy banks for so long and not fixed the fundamental problems at play. Elections aren't about having the perfect candidate, and for the most part, Dan is a very good mayor, and the people have been very appreciatory of all of the things that have been able to accomplish. Also, importantly, in this election, he's done some pretty remarkable things. As mayor, and even now, he doesn't go around with bodyguards, he just walks around the city as a regular person. He also does not try to engage with this populist framing, this far-right fascistic chase to get those audiences. He's completely sworn it off, and he's just trying to present himself as a problem solver, a reformist, someone who's going to fight against corruption. And that is the thing Romanians want right now in reality, regardless of how many people are falling in love with another firebrand far-right figures like Simeon. But it's important to understand that he is not perfect, but he is doing good things, and he is probably the best person that we can find out of the candidates that could win this election. So I'm asking you to go out and vote and make sure that you're voting, Romania, for someone that you think will do the best job. And that's probably Dan in this election. And if he gets to the second round, it's definitely him because George Simeon is another clown that wants to obviously enrich himself, his buddies, and achieve his weird political fantasies. But what really needs to be done is having people that'll make Romania a better place for everyone.